Delighted to have with us today Miss Elaine Smith of McAllister and Smith Funeral Home here in Charleston, and you have a client with you today, Miss Pat Branyan, and delighted to have both of you with us. Now, we started talking about with losses of pets, and this is what McAllister Smith has really done a very good thing in coming into, and you've got a program that's set up here, and you've got some locations and things like that. When did y'all start doing this?
We started offering pet services 3 years ago. As you know, we've been offering services to families at the time of a loss for human family members since 1886. However, about 3 years ago, we started our pet program, and it was really born out of our belief that pets are members of our family.
Exactly.
And so as such, the intensity of emotion and grief that family members feel at the loss of a pet can be equal to when they lose any other member of their family. And so we wanted to be able to service those families at that time, to be able to recognize that loss and really offer them a lot of options, the same options that you have when a human family member dies, to be able to memorialize their pet.
Now, you've got a special name that you call this. It's Faithful Forever?
Faithful Forever Pet Cremation by McAllister Smith. And it's available at all 3 of our funeral home locations, which are in Mount Pleasant, Charleston, and Goose Creek. So it really makes it convenient for folks.
Sure. You don't have to go to one location, and somebody is probably right there in the areas of these. Now, Pat, you were a client of McAllister Smith, and you had them take care of your friend Lucy at her demise. And how did that work for you as far as with the services they ordered and offered to you and the ability to help you out in the time of loss?
Well, I took my little Yorkie Lucy to them. They welcomed me in like they've known me forever. And Lucy, they did such a good job on her. I was afraid to send her anywhere else because I was afraid that, you know, maybe I've heard that other places, you know, do multiple dogs.
Right.
And Elaine told me that they did individual. So I knew that I would, you know, get back what I took in. And anyway, their comfort counseling really helped me.
Great.
And I just appreciated everything they did.
Well, it sounds like it was a wonderful time.
Yeah, it was a wonderful
for you, considering the loss that you were suffering going through. Now, Elaine, how do they work as far as people always worry about getting back their remains of their family member of the loss? In this case, it was Lucy. What does the safeguards that y'all do when you're doing this?
Absolutely. In fact, that is the #1 concern that family members have whenever they bring a pet to us, is how do I know that this is my pet that I'm getting back? Obviously, being a funeral home, we are meticulous about chain of custody for any loved one who's brought into our care. So each pet, upon the time that they're brought into the funeral home, receive a stainless steel pre-engraved tag that is attached to them. So that will stay with them throughout the entire process, so that we are able to make sure that those cremated remains indeed are that person's pet and returned to them. It's extremely important to us.
Right. And I imagine at that time they have a chance to look at what type of vase they want this to be put in, a container, or exactly how they want this to be carried out at that time. That you have some type of viewing books or things that you can show them at that time, too.
Absolutely. We have, at each of our funeral homes, we have a selection of sample urns and memorial items that they're able to choose from. And every time people express to us that they had no idea that so many things were available. So really that's what we consider one of our key roles in helping them, is to be able to help them to understand what's available, and whatever is appropriate and meaningful for them is what we want to be able to provide for them, because it's different for everyone.
Exactly. Some way to reflect back on the memory of their loss, but at the same time going forward in the Faithful Forever system that you have there. I just think that's great. And so it does ensure that we're going to be getting back Lucy's remains. And that at times I can see how that would be a problem and a worriment for you. So that certainly works out very nice with you. When you're dealing with things, what have been seemingly the most important things to the people other than getting back the remains? Has there been anything else that's going on at the time? Are people understanding their loss?
Well, one of the things that we found is in our society very often, if we were to lose a child or lose a spouse or another family member, there's a huge outpouring of support for that
Right.
person. We expect them to miss work. We expect them to be upset for an extended amount of time. And often in our communities, it becomes labeled, well, it was just a pet, and they don't have the same amount
Right.
of response and care for them. And so that's where we really like to try to fill in that gap and be able to be there for them, normalize what they're going through, and be a resource for grief therapy, and just being able to honor that pet's life, recognizing that they were a part of their life, that they made a difference, and being able to do something special to remember them. And it just is shown to have such value to people, and they really appreciate it.
Certainly. Well, you know, the rescue agency is always talking about the forever homes, and when that forever home comes, we have a family member, and all my clients look at their pets as family members, and it's something to be cherished, and their memory, and every one of them is different, and they're always going to mean something special. And this is what I like about that. You've got different items that you can purchase that will have some of the ashes in it at that time, and then always be able to reflect that. And I think that's a very beautiful thing as far as remembering that. Lucy being the small size that she was, I know that you're constantly missing that wonderful little terrier and that little love that was always shown. That's one thing about them. You can always pick them up and carry them wherever you want to go.
That's right. That's right. They different than a big dog. You can always just pick them up and just love them.
Right. And that's something I have found with people too, as they get up in age sometimes a little bit, not that had with you, but the small dogs, you can always pick them up when you're walking with them and carry them if something happens to them. So it really comes out and does a whole lot like that. Well, I think a lot of the things that work and help for different people, sometimes if somebody wanted to come by and pick up a brochure, is that something they could come and get from McAllister Smith?
Absolutely. All of our information is obviously on our website, which is www.mcallistersmith.com. Also, each of our locations has selection areas so they can stop by anytime. They're able to bring their pets to us at the time of a loss, or we're able to go to their veterinarian or their home to be able to take their loved one into our care. So we make it really convenient for them. We're happy to talk to anyone at any time, can send a brochure.
So you've got a buddies brochure. I think that was the type of thing that we have, and it really shows some of the nice articles that are there to help you remember your pet and the loss that you suffered, but the way to go on and essentially grow and learn from it.
There's so many unique options that people just are not aware of, so they're always surprised, and our role is just to be able to try to find the right thing for them, whatever that might be.
Pat, what would you say was the thing that made you think that this was the right setting for you?
Well, it's the level of care. When I walked into the funeral home, they showed toward not only to me, but to Lucy.
To Lucy's remains. Well, I think that is certainly a very warm way to express the commitment that McAllister Smith has to helping the owners in their time of loss. So I thank you so very much. And Pat, thank you for coming in and telling us about Lucy. I know she was a wonderful friend and a good member of your family.
Thank you.
Thanks
for having us.